Good evening, everyone. I am Chair of the Personnel. With me on the committee is Councilor Demers and Councilor Yano
Mr. Chairman,
Amara.
I'll make a motion to dispense with the reading and approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Needs to be a second from somebody in the committee.
Yeah.
I'll second.
I'll withdraw.
All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. We have two things, one of which we already took care of. The second is the appointment of Simon Minor to the Woburn Commission on Disability. Simon's here. How are you, sir?
I'm okay. Been getting over a flu, so I want to keep you all healthy, so hence the mask.
Sit right down, make yourself comfortable.
Thanks
Mayor
for seeing me
Concanon,
tonight.
how are you tonight?
Doing well, Mr. Chairman. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. I'm pleased to present to you tonight for appointment to the Commission on Disability, Simon Minor. Simon is a Woburn resident, has been for the last 5 or 6 years now. He has been legally blind since birth. He's the founder and owner of Pedal Point Solutions, a disability-owned business specializing in digital accessibility testing, remediation, training, and strategy. And beyond the work that he does at work, he also volunteers his time developing open source tools, sharing practical accessibility knowledge with the community. He presented recently at our own Community Resource Center on digital accessibility. Samantha can attest to that. And he's also a member of the Mass Commission for the Blind and the Bay State Council on the Blind. I met with Simon at the recommendation of Jan Fuller, our commission chairwoman. We had a great conversation. I learned a lot about Simon. He comes with Jan's strongest endorsement. And in the letter that Simon sent to me, it kind of sums up the conversation we had for probably 45 minutes to an hour. He says, "My commitment is simple. I want to help people with disabilities in Woburn to live thriving, meaningful, self-directed lives." And I think that's a pretty good qualification to serve on a Commission on Disability. I think it'd be a great addition, so I'm proud to present him to you tonight. He's available to answer any questions like that, as is Jan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor Concanon. Simon, in your own words, if you'd like to just address the committee and how you think you would help.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for your time tonight. I really appreciate it. As the mayor said, I've been a Woburn resident for the last 6 years with my wife and kids. We live near the corner of Montvale and Washington Street, where the Wendy's is. And I have been legally blind my entire life. Worked in computers, doing software engineering and web development for most of it. Then realized about 10 years ago that there's a lot of work to be done to make sure that software and websites can be usable by people with disabilities like me, and like many of us. And so I decided to sort of shift what I was doing and start my own company to help organizations and individuals learn, practice, and experience this web accessibility thing that's so important, but so little understood, or just people are like, oh yeah, that's a really important thing to do. So what I want to do is education and just helping people understand what that looks like in our lives, in their own lives. And so as part of that, I really wanted to engage with the community. That's been great in terms of, I joined the Chamber of Commerce earlier this year. It's been one of the best decisions I've made since I've gone full time. Many of you know that Samantha is involved with us in that, and we connected to do a workshop a few months ago on web accessibility to make your website convert more. And that was really well attended, some great questions and follow-up for that. And so I just feel like the Commission on Disabilities can make a really big difference in what happens in our city, in our communities, to just make sure people are heard and seen and valued, and that they have a voice. I've seen the commissions work really well in other cities. I was really impressed with Jan and the committee when I visited one of their meetings a few months ago. I was really impressed with American Canon and appreciative of your openness and support. And so I'm excited for what I can bring to the table because I feel like this is something we do together. It's something that we do to build empathy for one another because disability is not far away from any of us, whether we experience ourselves or have a family member or loved one with one, and all of us will experience it someday. And in fact, we probably did today. If you were out in the bright sun today and you were looking at your cell phone and the colors sort of washed out, that's a situational disability. So this isn't just about people with permanent disabilities like me. It benefits everybody. And so I'm really hopeful and enthused to have the chance to be part of this group.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Questions from the committee? Yes, Councilor
More
Thomas.
so a comment. I'm just thrilled at your resume and hearing everything that you do. I think taking, your life experience and advocating on behalf of others is exactly the MO we're looking for members of boards and committees. So I'm looking forward to supporting your nomination this evening.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Welcome, Simon.
Anyone else?
I'll make a motion that the appointment of Simon Minor to the Woburn Commission on Disability is sent out ought to pass.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Good luck, sir.
All right.
Thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Much appreciated. That was
Thank you. Oh, it'll be easy.
great.
Where we have no other business,
Chairman Dillon, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, let me know when.
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome. This is the Committee on Infrastructure and Public Lands. I am Chairman Dylan Mambro, and I'm joined with Councilor Mercer Bruin, Councilor Dillon, Councilor Ferrullo, and Councilor Papalato. Do I have a motion to accept previous meetings
moved.
minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Next on the agenda is the request by Dr. Patricia McCauley, Save the Wyman Castle Committee, to provide community update on the vision for the Wyman School Castle and surrounding property. Who is going to do the presentation this evening?
We're splitting it all up. Splitting it up.
Ladies, you're up.
All right. So excited. Introduce themselves. Yes.
Can you please introduce yourselves for the record?
Sure. Susan Tifo. Madeline Farrell.
Dr. Danny McCauley.
Erin Mercurio Nelson. Karen Tifo. Catherine Shaughnessy. Okay, so tonight, this evening, I want you all to believe in possibilities, all right? One of my favorite mottos is you never know unless you try. And I know all of you sometime in your life had to have a situation where you were asked to do something and you wanted to try to see if you could make it. A perfect example is Mr. Frullo down there in 2018 when we asked him to perform in a lip dub for Woburn High School. Oh, yeah. So now let's show you the picture. I was going to World Photo today and I said, this is a perfect scenario to have, talking about someone we asked, and a lot of people said, no, I don't want to do it, but he stepped up and he tried, and they were fantastic.
Tried. No, she said tried.
Yeah, they were fantastic when they did that. All right, so basically tonight, I'm going through this presentation of the property. You're all familiar with it. And the last time we've done many different presentations. We actually did our first one with Joe and Mayor Concanon. So we've changed this up a little bit. They asked us to do some homework, and tonight we're here with all the data and all the facts, and we're going to leave you a packet at the end. All right? We have established ourselves as a Castle Arts and Community Center. We're officially a nonprofit. We have a bank account at Mr. Furlow, Northern Bank and Trust.
Appreciate that.
We also have an accountant, we have a lawyer, we have people on board that are calling us to say they want to jump on board with us to help with development and so forth. So we just wanted to let you know that we're now official. We have endless possibilities for that building, and none of them are all, we're talking about the whole property, the annex and the castle. And going through all the research, we have just typed in some of these, and we're not married to any of them. Community rentals, meeting space, business partnerships. The one that sticks out the most to me is meeting space, because I know every Halloween time, lions come to my dining room table. The ladies clear out of the house, and they talk about the parade forever and ever, because there's not much meeting space in Woburn. Our committee has met at the Woburn Public Library, but now it's very difficult to get into those there, and you have to book them ahead of time. So spontaneously, you wouldn't be able to do that. We're talking about a history museum. I talked to Ashley before she left. She's the archivist that left to go up to Newburyport. She said Woburn has more rich history than Lexington, but we don't show it off. And if you go to other towns, you visit all the historical places, Woburn doesn't do that, all right? We're talking about many places have a little cafe. We're not talking about a place that has a lot of, bakery and like studio cafe. We're speaking about a Keurig machine and a teapot. Exhibit gallery, tourism. We are bringing the arts in with performances, studios, workshops, residential artists. And then we have that beautiful green space out back. You could do community gardens, farmer markets, and a sculpture garden like Burlington has. So as we move along here, this is a very interesting fact. The economic value of Massachusetts, professional sports versus arts and the creative sector. So this was done in the last 2 years, and this is in billions. So the art and creative sector in Massachusetts is $29 billion. And the next one that goes down there is sports tourism, which is $9 billion. And the next one is $2 billion for the Greater Boston Arts. And the one that I thought was interesting, the pro sports revenue of all the teams, the Bruins and the Celtics and so forth, $1.5 billion. And then they threw in the Boston Marathon at $500,000, 500 million, just so you know. So look at this chart and watch how the bar is going to change when I go to the next one. So here's Woburn, no arts and community center that's geared for what we need. And then you look at the number of tennis courts, the athletic fields, and multi-purpose fields that we have. So you go back and forth, and you can see the difference visually. All right? So we were asked to do homework, and we went out every weekend to surrounding communities to see their arts and community centers. We've done a community roadshow with over 10 different groups right now, and I still have a lot booked for February. And then we've created a timeline, and we've brought Erin on board to do all the fundraising. She is a professional at it, so she'll be talking about other stuff. So I spent probably 3 or 4 hours going through the surrounding towns in Woburn. Anything that you see in yellow is they have arts and community-based places, and you can see where Woburn is in purple by itself in the middle of all the yellow. So all of these other city and towns have stuff that Woburn doesn't have. And I've been here, and my family's been here since the very beginning. Woburn deserves to have what other places have. The community has spoken loud to us on all our road shows that we deserve this. So many people bring their children to the other surrounding communities, and I am the one who, when my children were growing up, because of my background, I brought my kids to Lexington Monroe Arts. I brought them to Reading Arts. I brought them to other places to see performing arts because Woburn did not offer this. The next one here is the Umbrella Arts Center. So all of the places I'm showing you, I have actually visited, talked to executive directors, taken photos, dragged my children to come with me on Saturday afternoons or after school. So this is a beautiful building in Concord. It has theater, which they added afterwards. This place is thriving, and they have a beautiful walk-in entrance. It was a former school. We have all of this information in a packet that we're going to give you. Went out to Watertown, spent a half day out in Watertown at the Recession Arts Center. This is the arsenal that was owned by the U.S. Army. So all of these have one thing in common. They're all nonprofit 501c3s, and they were all started by a group of community members that decided that they needed to have it. And believe me, when I played field hockey back 30 years ago at Woburn High, Watertown wasn't a place we all wanted to go because Watertown didn't have the arts center. And Watertown now, if you look, is in the top 30 of 40 places to live because they've really built up their arts community. People want to come to town here, actually, Woburn thinks it's a town even though it's a city. People want to come through here not just to go to Chick-fil-A and drive down the middle of Woburn Center that has a lot of restaurants. They want to come here and stay here. They want to have a cup of coffee and watch their kids do a theater or audition. They want to see a museum or a new exhibit. We also have here some of them. Now, I was lucky enough when I went to the Summer Armory that they were having a farmer's market. And several of the Woburn people, Joe Wing of Fern and Flow Candles, actually has to book time in another town to sell his product. And I met Carolyn Horton, and she has to do the same thing. She does jewelry and cookies. She has to go here to do this. All of these buildings I'm showing you are all in residential neighborhoods. And the people that I spoke to absolutely love it because you can see them, the top right-hand picture, you had a little performance stage and people were playing guitars. So all of these places are multi-generational that everybody can enjoy, and it's wonderful to see, all different types of people come out. The farmer's market, people are in and out 15 minutes, they're chit-chatting, they're seeing people, they had music playing, and I spent probably 2 or 3 hours there just watching everybody. This is Arlington. Arlington is known for its fabulous art programs and community center. Their story was that they started in an elementary school. They all do long-term leases, and they are all 501(c)(3)s. So the Arlington one, they went to the school, and after 10 years, the city needed the property back. So they moved them into this building, which is absolutely beautiful on the outside. And they have ceramic studios, they have a studio art thing. All of these places are busy all the time with different kinds of programs. And when I spoke to somebody at this one here, they said, yeah, Woburn, you guys are so far behind everybody else. All of these places were done in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. So you can see how far behind Woburn is. The last two, the TCAN Art Center is a cultural district in Natick. They have 4 to 5 different areas where you can go and see the movies, you can go see a play, and this is a old firehouse. A lot of these buildings I'm showing you are anywhere, they're between 80 and 100 years old. So the Wyman Castle fits perfect into what other places have done. I brought my own children to the Creative Arts Place in Reading for years, and they have a complete center downstairs, theater program, arts, and a community place there. And they've been around since 1978. So I'm leaving you with a couple of thoughts because I'm very sentimental and passionate about this program. Years from now, people will talk about the moment Woburn chose imagination over demolition. The project that we're presenting to you today is one where we do all the work. We go get all the money. We work in partnership with you. And what happens is it gives all of you a chance this could be part of your legacy. The council, the mayor, everybody decided to say yes to this group of people, just like all the pictures I just showed you, the same scenario, to give them a chance. That's all we're asking for. So we're going to have Patty McCauley is going to discuss about the survey results that we have here. And I will step aside because I'll jump back in afterwards.
Well, thank you all. So we asked the attendees at our community meeting if they would be willing to do some surveys for us. And they were anonymous surveys. We asked them to do a survey prior to our presentation and then another one after the presentation. And really, we were looking at a couple of things. We wanted to get a sense of how people in those meetings were feeling about the castle, what ideas they might have, questions they might have, but also for us to also look and see how we as a little group are doing in getting the message out. So that's really the information that we were hoping to get. So of the respondents that we received, 96% support an arts and community center in Woburn. 94% felt that the presentation improved their understanding of what we were hoping to do. 74% believe it's very important to save the castle. 84% knew of the Wyman Castle campaign, and actually the signs were the number one way that they felt that they were getting the information about the castle. And 86% did not attend the Wyman School. And we thought that that was important because we wondered in the back of our head, would only people who actually went to the Wyman School care about this? So in the group that we surveyed, this is the information that we got. We have a long way to go. There'll be more surveys to come, but this is the first real clean data that we have. It's all tabulated, it's all anonymous, and I'm the keeper of those numbers. So, any questions about that? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah.
I want to respect time. So the next slide here is a timeline. Erin and I share this slide. So we, just so that you know how long, and I know you understand, we decided to put a timeline together so you'd understand where we've been. So in the fall of 2024, I started this Be a History Hero campaign. And in February 2025, we did formation of our committee. We put the yard signs out. We had committee meetings along with Joe. In fall of 2025, we decided to do the move forward. We made a decision to do it via 5013C. This winter, we've done the road show, and then I'm going to hand the rest of the spring over the last three to you.
Absolutely. So, thinking optimistically, we'd be ready to spring into action this coming spring, pending approval of a lease agreement with the city. That would give us kind of a launch date for our fundraising campaign of about June. And that would work really hand in hand with putting out feelers for contractors to come to get quotes. So we can get a realistic idea of what our monetary goals and our fundraising goals are going to be. Having not been able to set foot inside the property or have anyone take a look at it, we have been going off the feasibility study done in 2023. But until we get someone to really lay eyes on it, all of our fundraising numbers are true estimates. So we're looking forward to having an opportunity to work with builders and contractors and restorationists to really look at the space and think what this project really is going to cost so we can hit the ground running with our fundraising campaign.
Perfect. And then we're going to leave you with a little story, okay, from our famous elementary school teacher here. She's going to read the story to you, and I'd like you to just think about what we're trying to say with this story.
Yeah. As a teacher, I love to teach writing. So when the lights came back on at the Wyman School, for years the Wyman Castle and School property stood quiet. People passed it every day. Some saw decay, others a problem, but many saw an opportunity. They thought it was cool to have a castle in their community. Then one evening, members of the community who cared deeply about the school gathered outside. The building loomed behind them, weathered, quiet, and waiting. They did not talk about what the castle had been, but what it could become. They imagined classrooms alive again, art and music returning to the property in a place where a multi-generational community coming together to learn, create, and connect by choice, not obligation. City leaders were cautious. Budgets mattered. The risks were real. But there is also a cost to inaction. But one question changed everything. What happens if we don't try it? The decision before the council is whether the property is worth the chance. Because if we do not try, the property is lost forever. So the Wyman Castle and School property was given a chance, a lease, a window of time, permission to dream. The community responded, volunteers showed up, fundraisers were held. And one night, the lights came back on. Not because the building was perfect, but because it was believed in. It was a moment that proved powerful. When people believe in, invest in, dream together, even a building that's needed much care becomes the heart of the city. What people remember now isn't paperwork, budgets, or votes. They remember the moment the people of Woburn chose possibility. And the castle and the school property became a place of belonging again. Not because it was easy, but because city officials said yes.
So at that point, that concludes our presentation, and I will leave, I know, I'm not sure how the procedure goes, Lindsay. We have folders.
Make a motion to accept the presentation, all accompanying documents, please from file.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Just leave us a copy of the
Okay,
copy.
thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. This isn't even my committee, I'm sorry. I'm on it. yeah.
I was gonna make a motion that we can open up a question.
I'm sorry,
I didn't know our committee had secretaries.
I was kind of sitting back on, I don't know where he's going, but
I apologize.
it's your show.
I didn't know
There was a
this
motion and a
wasn't
second, I haven't
posted
accepted the documents.
No, no.
So the documents are in.
But we will
Yeah.
suspend the rules.
They already, yeah, they already.
I'll make-
Questions from the committee?
I'll make a motion to open that up to all the other
Committee members,
That are-
council members.
council members.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second
A motion,
I don't know, you want,
it. You're not even on the.
you're not on the, can I have a second
Yeah.
from?
Second.
Okay, good. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Anyone have any questions? Anyone? Counselor Dillon?
sure. So, very nice presentation, thank you. So what you're looking from us right now is to okay a lease eventually, correct?
About, what is needed to start the funding?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, can I just have a name? You're the one I missed out.
Oh, sure. My first name is Erin Mercurio, which is Merceruio Nelson.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure. So, yes, the basic question is, in order to get access to the building and really figure out what we need to start the process, it would be the lease agreement, I believe, would be the first step
Okay.
between the nonprofit and the city.
And I guess my second question would be, is the model you're looking at perhaps like the model that the Woburn Golf and Ski Association have? That's city land, they have a lease, they run it, they really get no money from the city. They provide their own funds and run it on their own funds. Is that kind of what your goal is in this similar situation?
It is. It's something we're prepared to do and talk about, why we would gratefully accept any partnership or help from the city in this project. And we are prepared for that type of a lease agreement.
That's all I have, thank you.
Yes, sir. Anyone else have a question?
Not really a
Counselor
question,
Crowe.
more of a statement. I don't think anybody is looking to drive a bulldozer into this building. I think it's an effort to look at a fiscally responsible way to accomplish your goals. Or the goals of reuse of the building, we'll leave it at that rather than your goals of the reuse of the building. So, I want the castle saved just as much as you do. But we just need to find the pathway, which you have taken the first step to do. But I don't think this vote to tear it down next Thursday, it's something that we're trying to work together to accomplish it. So I guess I'm looking for unity, is that it's not an us versus you or you versus us.
Oh, no.
It's unity to accomplish a common goal.
Right.
For the betterment of the city. And, I just get that out there for the public, for you guys, for everybody, is that there's nothing up our sleeve. We just need to look for a fiscally responsible way, because most of you are homeowners in the city, and we have to make sure that we are fiscally responsible to the homeowners of the city.
So that's why I went out and spoke to all the places that I've gone to, and they have been in the same situation, and they're all willing to help us because they've walked in our shoes.
Awesome.
So they've done the partnerships, they've done the 501(c), they've done long-term leases, short-term leases. They run as a nonprofit by themselves. So I think it was Watertown, they bring in like 3 million, and the 3 million goes back out into the programming and stuff like that. So it's not something, I know there's a lease on the O'Brien Ice Rink. So the precedent has already been set with the committee and the city. And we know when we first started this, we were thinking, well, maybe the city could help us out with money and all this stuff. But then we realized soon enough after speaking to other people, that can't happen. So we don't want the burden of any money to be on the city or the taxpayers. Erin has over 14 years experience in a nonprofit. This is what she does. And you'll see the fundraising plan and how we're going to do all that in the booklet that we're leaving you. We gave you every case study. We're giving you case studies outside of Woburn, the Middlesex League in Boston, and historic buildings. So we've done so much homework. We're looking for, in order for us to move forward, some kind of lease and approval so that I've already spoke to Cummings, when we're speaking to all these people, they say, well, do you have an agreement with a partnership with the city? And we don't have it. If we did, then we can move forward and get all this money, start putting it away. We realize it's a lot of work. I'm retiring in February. I have nothing else to do but happily haunt the city, the community, and the world.
You do a good enough job now. The extra time.
I love this idea. I left in tears at these places that I visited to. Woburn deserves this, and we're willing to do the work for you guys. And you guys are all gonna look like heroes. We'll be standing behind the ribbon cutting. So he found his lift-up video. Yeah, you know how I operate. I'm here for the
Been victim of it many times.
Anyone quick? Council Papalano.
Yes. I did go to the Wyman School, so it does have a special place in my heart. I planted the tree on the first screen that you had there, so it's very sentimental to me.
Wow. We need to put your name, a little plate under it.
At the end of the day, it's about money. It has to be about money.
It is.
And if it's, I don't know, I've heard all these numbers thrown about, oh, if it's gonna cost 5 million, it's gonna cost 20 million. Who knows? You don't even know, right? That's why you wanna go forward here. But let's say it's in the $20 million range. It's gonna take years and years and years to accumulate that. And unless you have a magic wand in here.
Every scenario is different from every town and city that I've spoken to as far as money, and we've got you'll see the case studies that we provide to you, where people from Arlington got all their money, and where people from Watertown got all their money. There's a lot of people that have money that are willing to put it out for something like this, and Erin has all the connections for it.
Yeah.
People have been emailing us to say, I want to be part of the team, I have this, I have that, and we're just waiting for an okay, a partnership. We don't want this to be a burden on the city. We want this to be a shining gem that people are gonna come here, and it brings value to the city, where they're gonna go downtown and have a cup of coffee while their kids are doing theater programs, and they don't have to go anywhere else.
And we do realize it's gonna be a long-term project. You know, this is gonna take a long
What
time.
kind of time does it take for these other communities to do this? Is it 2 years, 5 years, 10 years?
They vary, like,
They really vary. I mean, there's the timeline for raising the money, and then there's the timeline for the restoration.
Right.
So it really depends on how soon kind of the first investments come in and when we can really break ground, so to speak,
Right.
on the renovations. And a lot of, there's a possibility also that part of the property would be open earlier than another part, depending on what kind of a phased construction happens. If the castle needs more work than the annex, so to speak,
Right.
then that could open for
So
programming.
the other thing that I saw on there is, it looked like the size of these other buildings were more similar to the castle. Is that?
Concord's pretty big, because
understanding that
they put an addition on it. The Somerville one is probably, comparable. The other one was a high school. I mean, I could get their square footage and stuff like that.
Right, because it's, just looking at it, I mean, I
Right.
might be
But
wrong.
they have huge properties. I
I
mean,
think
they-
the point is this is a huge property over there.
Right.
And all the new building that's,
Right.
1,000,000 years old right now, and the portables that are over there.
It's-
Is all that land needed, or could this be subdivided and kind of do something?
I think it's all or nothing, because if you just do the Wyman Castle, it's not going to be like the beautiful community arts center that you would all want. This is a great opportunity. Say if we do this, and say if it doesn't happen 5, 10 years down the road, then if anything, we've preserved the land for the city of Woburn, if you ever need it back. And Arlington was a perfect example. They needed the elementary school back as a swing school, and they said, we were so thankful that we did not sell that land off because of the situation they were in.
Right.
And the way Woburn's moving around, and I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but, I mean, the value of property now is X amount, but 5, 10 years down the road, it's gonna be even more. So we have like a safeguard to save the land as we raise the money and do everything else.
I think one other thing, and it's in your packet, is to really think of it as a multi-generational venue. And the research is out there, how that helps people emotionally, physically, mentally, all ages coming together, teaching each other, having a space where people of all generations can be.
I mean, you couldn't argue against it. I mean, it's a great, the pictures you showed up there were, it's awesome. It would be great to have something in here. It really would.
Let's do it.
Right. But it's all about the Benjamins in the end, and
Well,
that
let's
has
take
to be figured out. And I don't know how we put some parameters around the fundraiser or whatever it is that has to be done, but It's a great concept and it looked really neat.
And just to let you know, though, the longer, this building has been sitting for 8 years. So we're hoping that we can have this partnership within some kind of the timeline that you're dealing with, so we're not sitting another year and another year and
Right.
another year. Because it's, you know, we need, I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Toro.
Thank you to you and your team for the presentation. You guys have been a very staunch advocate for the castle for some time. Two quick questions. Council Papalato mentioned it. Have you put any thought into, hypothetically, if this were to happen, when you would expect the actual community art center to be in operation? I know it really depends on the amount. I know more than probably anyone on the council, that it depends on the renovation and stuff, right? But have you put any thought into how long it would take? Worst case scenario, best case scenario, just trying to get an idea. That's my first question.
Without having a really good understanding of how long the work is going to take, it's hard to really give an educated guess on that. You know, my hope would be within 5 years, we could at least open up some sort of programming in part of the property.
Have there been any, I know fundraising is, launch fundraising is slated for June 2026 in this timeline. Has there been any commitment at all, whether verbally or formally, to any fundraising, any financial funds at this moment?
We have a lot of interest, and there are organizations and foundations that fund this exact same project, and their missions are for this thing. Without having any sort of a lease, we've been incapable of putting in any sort of formal application, because no one will fund it because we don't have permission to do it yet. So it's a little bit of a chicken and egg situation. So we've been putting out feelers and having conversations, but everything at this moment is preliminary.
Thank you.
Yep.
Counselor Dillon.
Yeah, just clarification, your statement on that it was vacant for 8 years, it was just turned back to the city this past August. So just for the public.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand that. I was just rounding it all off with
Thank you.
the building. No, I understand it was in the school committee's hands, for a while.
Thank you.
Counselor Mercer Brown.
Thank you. My only concern would be about the money. Taxpayers cannot absorb this, not now, maybe 5 years from now, when you're out continuing your fundraising, but in this time today, and likely next year, and I hope not the year after that, but right now, I'm just one person. I could not support using taxpayer money.
Absolutely not.
Taxpayers have said that loud and clear.
No, I agree.
I think it's a tremendous goal that you have here, but what I'm a little curious about, it says city approval and lease agreement, and then launch fundraising campaign. Because I would assume if you're going to engage in a lease agreement, there would be some payment to the city for that lease, correct? And would you not need some money to pay that lease?
Well, this is like the other towns I've talked to. Watertown has a 99-year lease, and it's not much money. So it depends on what kind of agreement we could work out together as a team to start off with. So they're all different leases, all different amounts. And a lot of them work, since the nonprofits put up all the money, they've come up with like the O'Brien Ice Rink. They have X amount that they pay, and I'm sure the golf and ski pay X amount. And this is something that would be willing, next step, to sit at the table to go over and say, hey, listen, what is it a decent lease agreement and stuff like that?
And again, I'm not an expert in lease
Right.
agreements, but I can tell you that I would expect that the city would receive something, for sure.
Right.
Because we could lease it out, or we could knock it down and spend a whole lot of money, have somebody spend a whole lot of money building something else. I think this is a wonderful idea. I'm just in my head trying to figure out how we get to it in terms of it not costing anything, and then how you guys move along next. And now the bigger question in the room is, this is you guys in the room. This is a piece of city property. It belongs to every taxpayer in this city. They all paid for it. How do they feel about this? I know you've had a couple of community meetings with maybe 80 or 90, but I could be
90,
wrong.
90
90
respondents.
90
survey.
response. There's close to 40,000
Right.
people in the
It's a
city
very small
who
sample
own
size.
part of this building.
Right.
So again, I'm not trying to throw water on this. I just want to make sure we're including the
Yeah.
rest of the city as it is their money. I'll have the responsibility to do that if we take a vote on the lease. I'll need to hear from people who live on the west side, people who live on the east
Right.
side. So that's why I brought it up. I wasn't sure if there was some plan to do a tour around the city
So we did.
and pitch it to everyone.
We have been doing it. We
But
did a
you've
road
had
tour.
two,
No,
so
we
am I
did a-
wrong? Like,
Those were my meetings.
oh, those are your meetings.
We did
Okay,
a
so
road
how
tour.
many people have we touched so far?
Reed's PTO, Pearl Lyman PTO.
Okay,
New Horizons, Senior Center, Woburn Rotary, Woburn Historical Commission. We did a meet and greet at the library the other day.
okay, so in terms of numbers, Susan, how many people did you have attend those things?
So we had 90 respondents from the town, you know,
Okay,
However, they
Road
all
show.
didn't respond.
but not everyone responded. Some people didn't answer the questions, so there were probably more people there, you know? And then, of course, it was the meeting initially of the first meeting we ever had, where there were 200 and something people, but there was no real data collected. It was not our meeting, that was a citywide meeting.
We also have over 400 people on our database, our email list that get our information every month, well, whenever we need to send it out. And we had over 500 signs requested to go out. So I fronted the money, and the committee fronted the money. We fronted the money to pay for the nonprofit status ourselves. That's how much we believe in this.
again, I'm just trying to get a feel for, how many people, if I pick up the phone tomorrow and call 15 people on the west side, are they gonna know what I'm talking about? I don't know.
We're hoping, I mean, we're
But,
gonna
but I'm gonna
continue.
find out, but at the end of the day, that's one of my biggest concerns, is that this message needs to be much broader, to hear from the rest of the community.
And we're
But-
keeping, inviting, asking if we can talk to different groups throughout the whole city. So we're doing that, continually asking people if they want to join the West, those kind of things, but absolutely.
And that's great,
You're
you're
saying.
doing great work, believe me, and I know Councilor Demers has been a huge advocate, working with you guys, but at the end of the day, when you're talking about a citywide effort, we need more people involved. What you've done so far is amazing, but when you're talking about the potential of a lease, many more people need to hear about it, weigh in on it. How you get to that point, I don't know. But I'm sure there's different ways that you've done it in small batches, but you're not gonna get to 38,000 people,
Right, yeah.
but more than where we are now. That's my only comment right now. I think it's an amazing idea. I hope the people that live in the neighborhood are on board. You've spoken to them,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Oh,
All the neighbors that live around the
Absolutely.
Wyman School are on
Yeah.
board with that.
her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Madeline found her.
And again, my biggest concern is the money. I know you're gonna pay for it yourself, but it is a building that belongs to the city, so we need to hear from everybody. That's all I have. Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Cameron, from your past experience, and this is more of an internal question, but from your experience, is there a requirement to an RFP for this project where it's city-owned property that's being offered out? Do we need to go through an RFP project to execute a lease?
I don't know. To be very honest.
So my concern is that on the timeline, if we have to do an RFP problem, we're putting a year right in there to seek proposals from others. And I'm not being Debbie Downer. It's just something that I think we need to think of. And it's more of an us problem than you problem. But I just wanted to ask that question out of curiosity.
Has there
Thank you,
been an
Catherine.
RFP in the past for the ice rink or for the?
As old as I am, that's before my time.
Like, those are 60 years old.
So do they have RFPs out for those leasing possibilities with the Woburn Youth Hockey and the golf and skate?
I don't,
What's
we wouldn't.
up?
That's an
Ancient history.
You
Oh,
can
okay.
find it.
You won't find it,
I
okay.
won't find it.
Councilor Demers.
Thank you. So first, I want to thank Chairman DeMambro for having the Save the Wyman Castle Committee come before Infrastructure and Public Lands tonight. I know over the past year and a half, discussions have been had both on our level, but also in the community. I had a meeting at the library that was very well attended, a little bit more so than I thought would have been attended. Then we also had a meeting at the Agricultural Center at the Old Farm Stand at Spence. And we got some great feedback. I just, what concerns me is, I'm doing my very best to keep an open mind. I've met multiple times with you folks to discuss your theories or thoughts for, or plans for this. But a quote that kind of caught me off guard tonight was imagination over demolition. Since day one, I have stated that I am not in favor of demolishing that building. And I think it's unfair to everything that we've done already up until now to still be framing an argument that way, because that's a scare tactic, in my opinion.
It really wasn't meant to be.
No, but I've literally said it's off the table. I've worked with the city solicitor to develop a deed preservation so that if we were to move forward and auction off the facility, the castle would be preserved and protected for future generations to see. So I think it needs to be framed in a different way so that everybody is getting the proper information. We've discussed the RFP process. That's something I need to revisit with Orazio DeLuca, our purchasing agent, just to know what we can and can't do in terms of a no bid on this type of project, because there are other organizations or maybe other types of art projects. I even had one very early on that was brought to my attention. But out of fairness, I didn't pick anyone. I didn't give any favoritism towards any organization. I wanted to make sure that everything was above board, that we could not be accused of picking favorites, because that's not what I wanted to have happen. Like my colleagues have said, and I stated at the last meeting we had over at the library when the mayor and I met with the committee here, the biggest concern is going to be the money. And I know tonight you're saying here that, it is not your intent to seek taxpayer funds for this type of project. But at what point, if we were to do a lease agreement, are we going to have benchmarks in that lease agreement to make sure that if it doesn't come to fruition at some point, how do we insulate the taxpayer? All right, let's think a few chess moves down the board here. Because that's my number one concern, is protecting the taxpayer here throughout. Okay, because what we're gonna belay is, if there's an auction, there's a sum of money that would be received by the city. But then if there's a private entity that would then own it, we'd also lose out on that tax revenue if we would be leasing it to a nonprofit. So, I would think concerned residents would want any type of lease agreement to have a payment that is comparable to what that property tax would be if there were somebody to come in and renovate it for another use. The meeting we had with Mayor Concanon, we both left, and when we saw the dogged determination of your committee that you would go out and do all the fundraising yourself, it was eye-opening. It brightened my idea about what this project could be. But again, there's a lot of things that still need to go into place to make me feel comfortable moving forward with a venture like this, especially with that lease. I would think that, I would think, my concern would be, after you've visited all these other locations, have you been given access to what their operating budget is? What the utility costs would be for a
Yeah,
certain?
you can look all that up.
Okay, so that's something that I think,
You have a lot of their fundraising
Yep.
information.
something I think my colleagues would want to see as well, because this is one of those things that fundraising's tough. I think one of the craziest things that Woburn has ever accomplished together as a community was the amount of money that was privately fundraised for the Boys and Girls Club. And I always worry that, that private equity that was there to be able to push that thing across, is it going to be there for an arts and community center? I sure hope so.
We believe it.
I sure hope so. I'm continued to keep an open mind, but like my colleagues have said, we've got to look out for the taxpayers. And when it comes to that, even if it's gonna cost no money to the taxpayer initially, we need to make sure that we cover the liability for the taxpayers, because in the end of the day, this would be a lease. We would still own the property, and if we kick this down the road 5 to 7 years and it doesn't come to fruition, then what are we left with? What are the taxpayers left with? So there's a lot more to flush out if this is to move forward and still be in the planning stages. I'll be honest with you, at the beginning of this process, you know, when thoughts were brought to my attention that it could be, you know, a veteran or low income senior housing option with, you know, the Woburn Historical Society getting the first floor of the castle, I thought that was a fabulous idea based on what we could go forth with. Just as somebody throwing it out there as a concept. But I think, you know, hearing more and more of this, I want to believe in it. I want to believe in it. I just, you know, we, in our roles on the city council, 9 times out of 10, we're going to say, where's the beef? You know, like, show me the more factual numbers and figures and, you know, lease agreement language and so forth. So, I mean, I'm open-minded. I'm looking out for the taxpayers because that's what I'm here for. And
Can I
yeah,
ask a question? Do you intend to have an abutters meeting?
I would, based on any more of the information that is brought forward, because your list of what offerings could happen there, I'm sure the abutters are gonna wanna chime in as to what the traffic would be, because many of those folks probably had a large sigh of relief when they didn't have to compete with morning and afternoon pickup anymore, when that school closed. So anything that would come within a specter of that traffic would change the quality of life that those folks have relished since the schools closed. Because as much as you want to believe it, you know, folks that live right next to elementary schools, it's great sometimes, and sometimes it's difficult.
Great to some.
Yeah, but it's difficult because it's great seeing kids, you know, and all that, and they're learning, but I don't think I've heard enough from the actual abutters. So that's something I want to have moving forward, is a direct abutters meeting. I'll get a list from the assessors department, send a
That would be
letter out.
great, because I think at a couple of meetings it was that there would be an abutters.
Yeah,
meeting.
and
think that
I was
might be-
planning that. It's just
Yeah.
the progress you folks have made, I've kind of put my role on hold because I wanted to get more information. So I appreciate you folks being here for that, and, you know, and we'll learn more about the RFP process, so we do this the right way.
So I have a question. In your committee right now is an order that was sent down by Mayor Concanon to dispose of the castle. So is that just gonna remain in committee?
It's not before us tonight, so
It's in committee.
it's in committee.
It's gonna stay in committee? That's important to know.
I
Because
mean,
we wanna go out and
I'm not
start to raise
gonna
money.
throw
But
Chairman
if we don't have
DeMambro
the will,
under the bus here and leave it up to him, but
if we don't have the city, if we don't have you behind us, you know, we're not gonna be successful. But if you are behind us, we will be successful.
I think what we need to do, Catherine, from the chair, is we spoke earlier this afternoon. We had to take and, you know, allow people to see this presentation so that it goes citywide. And I hate to turn my back, there's no way to do this right. I'm sorry.
Right.
So I thought that was very important, and I've been saying that with Councilor Demers for roughly a month and a half, 2 months now. I says, I want this in committee. I want everybody to see this citywide. And through, you know, Woburn's local media, we have that opportunity. I'm sure it's going to make the papers as well. Once we get this portion of it done, then I think the next step is to sit with Councilor Demers, as well as you folks still have some homework to flush out when your timelines are and how you think the money is going to come in, and a reasonable timeline. Again, Councilor Demers stated it. If the building's been sitting idle for 8 years, dormant, we tack on another 7 to 10 years before we can get this project off the ground to sustain the money. Now you're into 15 years. Those are dangerous numbers when you're talking on a building that's well over 100 years old. That castle, I don't have to explain it to any of you. Common sense will tell you it's an old structure. It's twisting, it's moving, it's expanding, it's contracting, and it's not being used. You know, buildings that aren't used don't last long. So we need to take, and I think on both sides, we need, I think, more information from you folks. And then with the help of Councilor Demers, we will be sitting with the mayor, Mayor Concanon, and probably City Solicitor Salati. And we're gonna determine just how we can go about this. And when we can get those answers, and as a group as a whole, on this end, then we can take and address it. That's why it's staying in committee. So, that being said, what is the will of
I
this?
just, sorry,
Oh,
Jim,
oh.
just a quick question. I
Yes,
know there was
Merciful.
reference to our packets. So in those packets, we'll see the numbers of what you anticipate you would pay for a lease or
No,
what you can anticipate.
Until we sit down with the players, the mayor, of course, the solicitor, our attorney, we don't know the terms of the lease will be, but we will certainly try to make it fair for everybody.
Right, well, so I just want to make, because the questions were asked, would we agree to a lease? We can't agree, because the city council will have an opportunity to review that lease for sure, and we'll have an opportunity to build that lease. So once we get a framework, but I'm just curious if you've thought about the initial startup costs. You must have had a conversation as a group what that could possibly be. Last time I was in that building, it was a few years ago to vote, the ceilings were leaking. I can't even imagine what it looks like now, but so I'm just curious, there must be some of that, right? Some
We've got some
conversation.
numbers, but really, anything now is really just a guesstimate. None of us have been in there.
Right,
You know, we can't say, you know.
Let me reframe it. Do you have a benefactor in mind? Because that's what you're gonna need.
Yes.
Somebody with some really deep pockets. Do you have a benefactor already in mind that you're not sharing with us? I'm not asking you to give us a name. I'm just saying that's an important piece of this.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big project. It's gonna be a big bottom line, big dollar.
Because that's giving you a lease without you all having somebody, a benefactor, you won't be able to accomplish what needs to be accomplished in that building. And it wouldn't be good for it just to sit there for 7 more years. So I just wanted to,
And to clarify, that's certainly not our.
I'm sure it's not. That's why I asked about the benefactor.
Absolutely, when Councilman Toro asked about a potential timeline, 5 years, opening up some sort of programming within 5 years anticipates some very fast fundraising in the beginning and some renovation so that within 5 years, programming in part of the structure has started. So that is a very compact timeline, which means the building in our plans, if possible, will not just be sitting for 7 years, because none of us want that. Absolutely.
I think the other thing that's important is we know what we don't know. We have expertise in certain things, but we know what we don't know. And we're lucky to have a pro bono attorney, and we're gonna be adding people as we go along because we don't know.
Do you have somebody who is pro bono or at least not as expensive that could give you an idea of what needs to be done with that building before you even put your name on a lease?
I think that.
And I'm not even saying that's something possible, right? But
I think
I'm
that would
asking.
be, yeah, I think that would be difficult unless someone could get into the building.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilor Dolan.
Just a source of information is, one way you may want to look at this is to get that report that the school committee had done. You have that.
Yeah.
So I think there was some numbers on renovation costs and that. Did that
Yeah.
help at all with the process?
That was in 2023, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have that.
Okay,
You know.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that gives you some kind of a guesstimate, but then there's 2 years after that where there's been nothing happening.
Correct.
Would just naturally assume it's gonna be how much
Thank you.
higher than that.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a motion that we leave this in committee rather than take any action tonight?
Do I have a second on that?
Second, and on the motion,
Yes,
I would just ask that the committee, when the time is appropriate, Council Demers, get an update on when the next neighborhood meeting, for everyone to hear what is being discussed and what the thoughts are out there.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That motion
Guys,
passes.
thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks a lot for your time. Thank you so much for your time.
Motion
to adjourn.
Second?
Happy New Year, everyone.
Second? Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned
I've been
at
waiting late.
7:01.
Yeah, I live across from with. Oh, okay. Thanks,
I'm going to convene the committee on special permits.
You can my brother-in-law.
Great.
Surf station. Yeah. I'm in the surf station. And they live in Milton, Florida now. I'm married to Chuck, the older brother. And Chuck has,
I see what you do to the
yeah, you
beginning
know,
of the new
well, we
term.
just
Thank you.
retired.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so
I'm not
much.
on the.
Right?
I haven't seen her at the senior center in a while. I'm worried about her.
I'll tell you that
I'm sorry, guys, we're gonna need the room. Sorry, we're gonna need the room. I'm gonna call the committee on special permits together. Can you hear me?
How about you? I will. Nice to meet you. Thanks for spending it.
After the senior center.
I will.
Take care.
Lindsay, I'm gonna call the committee on special permits together.
Yeah.
On the committee is myself, Alderman
Tell her she
Martha
wants to
Bruin,
notify the record.
Councilor DeMambro, Councilor Viola, Councilor Demers. Sorry. All right,
Thank you.
Sorry.
that's okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but then.
Oh, okay, sorry, Lindsay. So on the, we're calling special permits committee together. On the committee is Councilor Martha Bruin, that would be me, Councilor DeMambro, Councilor Viola, Councilor Demers, and Councilor Dillon.
Make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the previous meeting minutes and approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We only have one agenda item on our meeting list tonight, and that is, I believe Attorney Vaughn is here to talk about the fast food.
Yes.
There you are. Have a seat, Attorney Vaughn. And this is for the Wonder restaurant that we all talked about last week. I think the council is pretty familiar with the concept. If anybody on the committee wants another overview, please raise your hand. Anybody else who's not on the committee, would you like an overview? All right, so I think we can just jump right in and
Sure.
Attorney Vaughn.
Yeah, again, just for the record, Attorney Mark Vaughn, law firm of Raymer Bronstein. Nice to see you all representing Wonder Restaurant in connection with the building at 103 Commerce. So they're, again, just looking to occupy existing vacant space that was formerly the vitamin shop at the corner of that building. I think that I don't think I brought enough of the piece for everyone, but I have some renderings of the building in terms of what it will look like once Wonder goes in there. I think one of the things that we had talked about at the council meeting last week, the Wonder representative who's with me, Jason Botcher, who is available by phone right now. He's based in New Jersey. But he had showed some illustrative renderings of other locations in terms of what it might look like, not necessarily specific for this site. So the building that's there now is, it's a nice brick building that's there, the 103 Commerce building. So what they are basically going to be doing is keeping the facade as is. And again, I have copies that I can
A motion to
circulate.
accept those for
So
the
moved.
permanent record.
Second.
So.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let me see, what's the date?
You brought, Mark, those are the same ones you emailed me earlier, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, I have a copy in the file already.
Have the electric copy.
Yeah, I got the,
Thanks for asking.
I'm good, I saw the email.
Looking at those, and so you can see what was the vitamin shop is at the corner. So this is basically showing the vitamin shop signage being removed and Wonder signage that would be replaced right at the front of the building, which is where their main entrance is. And then similarly, there is a side to the building because it is a corner. And you can see on this page here what they would have for signage as well. So very modestly, tastefully done in terms of its placement on the building. In fact, it would be less overall kind of square footage than what the vitamin shop had, just given the stacked lettering and the fact that they had their logo on it as well. So again, the building that's there today, it's in good shape. It's a relatively new building that's been there, and the property owner has kept it up well. So, and I think the property owner doesn't really want to see a new facade treatment just for this particular corner where it might, not be consistent with how the rest of the building appear, but, so that is in what they're proposing in terms of the facade treatment. And similarly, I did prepare some proposed conditions of approval, which
Make a motion to
Make
accept
a
these.
motion to accept that as part, as a working document.
yeah.
There are 5 conditions. for those.
I tried to make them consistent with what I understand that the council might typically see for a fast order food establishment. One would just be that we're referencing the site plan of record that was submitted as part of the application. All dumpsters shall be enclosed by means of a fence, wall, landscaping, compliance with the Woburn zoning ordinances, reference to rodent control measures being in place as well. Number 3 would be kind of along the lines of what I just handed out in terms of the signage, but signage shall be consistent in appearance with the rendering prepared by Apex Sign Group dated January 9, 2026, and shall also comply with section 13 of the zoning ordinances. Hours of operation, I know that my client indicated that the preference would be to be able to be open until midnight, 7 days a week. I know there was a little bit of discussion about that last week in terms of that perhaps not being something that members of the council might be all inclined to see. What we were hoping for is to have it be 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., but for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, if they might be able to be open until 12 a.m., that would certainly be appreciated. I will say, based on the discussions with the client on that topic, at that hour, that 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. hour, it's not like people are coming there to eat or dine in or actually take out. It's more app-based at that point, where it's actually deliveries that they would be doing at that particular time. But if the council were willing to consider that. And then lastly, I think a standard condition, I have a special permit limited to Wonder as operator and not be transferable. So.
Does anybody on the committee have any questions?
Councilmember Bruin, I would just ask that, in accordance to condition number 2, that the dumpsters be emptied between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, just because you have apartments directly across the street.
We make that as an addendum?
7 a.m. to what was that?
7 a.m. to 7
Thank
p.m.
you.
Monday through Friday.
Which is in accordance with our current waste management ordinances, I think. Monday through Saturday.
But believe me when I tell you, them cans start clanging at 3 a.m.
Oh, I know. Thank you. Did you have any other comments on the
And then
conditions,
I
Councilor?
would ask if possibly they would look into the rodenticide. The first generation rodenticide that is the one that doesn't use the harsh chemicals that seems to be affecting the raptors in the area. That's something we want to try to implement more of. That's all. Thank you, Council. No, Madam Chair.
Council Dial?
I'll actually bring forth the wording for Councilor Zamambro. I actually have, if you want. You could add after where it says maintained on condition number 2 by a rodent control service using color for, I can't even pronounce it, but it's CHOLECALCIFEROL, which is vitamin D3, rodenticide, Terad 3, Silentra, or Cadet 3.
If I needed to get that again, or I don't think I have an issue with anything you're saying, but is that from another condition for?
Yes, it's one of them.
Okay, right.
Anybody?
Good?
Good? Good, okay, if everybody's good, I just had a couple of real quick questions. In terms of the hours of operation, of course, I would like to hear from the committee, but I would like to leave the hours of operation 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. For the same reasons that we discussed last week during the meeting. The other concern I had, or just a quick question about the signage. there's no illumination, or is there any illumination? Not that I'm saying you can't have illumination,
No,
but
it would be.
it wasn't highlighted. I just want to make sure that we indicate that there is illumination to the sign. Is that a solid, like it's just going to flash white, or it's not going to flash, or?
It is an illuminated, internally illuminated channel letters. So it would be illuminated. And I think that the specs are kind of shown on this spec sheet.
Right, if someone could make a motion, that we would add that it's internally lit, the signage is internally lit.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
That was number 3, amending number 3.
Number 3, thank you.
Motion internally, sign should be internally lit.
It's internal illumination, I think is the proper term for it.
Which is it, internally lit or internal?
Is not the proper term for it, Attorney Vaughn, internally lit,
Internal illumination.
internal illumination.
Internal illumination.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just want to, the other, I didn't have a motion on the other 2 suggestions, just to let you know.
Okay, so for the dumpsters,
I'll make a motion, I'll second Councilor DeMembro's, motion for the dumpsters.
that we,
Limit the hours of.
The hours of
7 a.m.
7 a.m. to
to
7
7
p.m.
p.m., Monday through Friday.
And then
So there's a motion and a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I'll put my motion, on number 2 as well for the rat poison.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any other discussion on the conditions? I would like to see a motion brought forward that the hours of operation shall be 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Is that what the other businesses there?
Primarily.
Is there any
Councilor
that are
Dillon,
open?
There's one, I think, that's open later, but primarily that is the majority of hours down there. And I'm open for discussion because I know we want to, have people be successful, but my biggest concern is when we open this up, they're gonna line up.
I'll throw out there that we just recently approved longer hours for the McDonald's and the Chick-fil-A, I believe. So, is that something that we should pass that courtesy on to a new business as well? The impact on residential there is really non-existent.
That is absolutely true. It's not non-existent. There are plenty of people who live down there. But it's out of the way. Chick-fil-A is not out of the way. Chick-fil-A is where the whole world can see. McDonald's
So your
is
concern,
where the whole world can see.
your concern is the residential?
Yeah, we've had trouble down there. It concerns me that it's off the beaten path.
I will give
Anyway,
consideration to the ward council's
But
concern.
maybe it could be a little bit later, maybe to 11:30.
That may be the
again,
compromise.
Yeah, I'm willing to say 11. I don't want to see the hours past midnight. And I think I explained a little bit, Attorney, about my concerns with that area. And is that a compromise?
Yeah, I'm just trying to tell you what they're looking to do with their other locations, and that the late night activity is not folks that are, showing up and, a rowdy crowd that's, perhaps, I'm not suggesting that happens elsewhere, but.
I don't want to drag this up, but you had mentioned your client thinks most of their business after 11 or.
It's going to be app-based with delivery drivers. that are
Well,
actually-
let me throw this out there to the council. Can we condition it that way? That nobody can, the only people that can pick up the food are the people that are delivering it?
I
It
don't
would be
know.
hard to monitor, but if I was just throwing it out there, I think a good compromise is 11:30. I don't want to set a precedent down there. I need to hear from the rest of the council. If they don't think it's an issue, I just know it's, That area is very much out of the way. There's always something going on down there.
I would certainly
Counselor
concede to
Newman.
the ward councilor's concern that 11:30 is a good compromise.
And
Councilor
I would just
DeMambro.
say, I mean, I looked at all the restaurants in that area. Chipotle across the street is 11 o'clock.
11
So,
o'clock.
7 days a week, so I think a good compromise would be the 11:30.
I will, against my better judgment, because really, as you just pointed out, everything down there is already 11. Your clients aren't missing out. They're not losing it to someone else.
Well, I mean, it depends on what you define that area, right? I don't want to belabor the point. But Shake Shack, for example, I believe is open until 11:30.
Yeah, Shake Shack is surrounded by other businesses and activities.
Yeah, no, and that's what I said.
It's a whole different
I
location.
don't think there's a lot of restaurants necessarily that are down at this particular location that we're talking about, but,
Again, I would like to hear from the rest of the council. People think I'm being unreasonable here. I mean,
I'd be amenable to 11:30, the latest.
council.
If I may, Chairman Bruin, I am looking at Shake Shack, and they have hours of operation, 10:30 a.m. to 11 p.m., Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, open till 11:30 p.m., Sunday, 10:30 to 11. So they kind of narrowed it down to the 2 days, I'm assuming is obviously their busiest because it's Friday and Saturday. They did extend their hours to 11:30, but the rest, the other 5 days of the week are 11 p.m.
My concern is precedent.
So I don't know if you want to condition it for Friday and Saturday, which is a big to-do, usually for people to go out.
I'm gonna suggest that we leave the hours of operation the way they are. If someone else disagrees, I'll leave it to them, but I'm gonna suggest we leave it the way they are and suggest to you and your client that, at any point in time, you know, over the course of the next few months, if it becomes an issue, come back and see us. I don't wanna I don't wanna go out of the norm of where we are down there now, because everybody else is gonna come to the table. Everybody, and rightfully so.
Councilor Musabou?
Yes, sir.
And again, I want to take your concerns very
I appreciate that.
seriously. Do we know for a fact all the other places, like Starbucks is 11?
I don't even think
Starbucks is 9.
Nine,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
You
That's what
thought
I've
there was
been looking
one other place that may be open later?
Chipotle,
Chipotle is open till
Across the street.
11:30.
Across the street,
11
11:30.
p.m.
11 p.m.
11 p.m., 7 days a week. So being, through the chair, he did mention, Attorney Vaughn mentioned Shake Shack. And again, they're open 10:30 a.m. to 11 p.m., 5 days out of the week, which those would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday, open till 11:30, Sunday, 11 p.m.
at the mall.
at the mall.
I don't want to belabor this too much. I've already done that, and I apologize to my colleagues, but as I said, these things do matter. Do I have a motion from the floor on the, I can't make a motion. I have to defer to you all. I would like to see the hours of operation 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. And then leave it at that.
So
And there wouldn't need to be a motion.
Because
unless
that's
you want
what's
to amend
written.
anything.
That's, you just go with the standard, what these.
Thank you, Councilor Demers. Do I have a motion on the existing 5 conditions with the amendments as discussed earlier?
So moved.
Second,
Do I have a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you,
You didn't
everybody.
you didn't give anything like off to pass or anything, you just voted the conditions.
Yes. So could I have a motion that the special permit ought to pass
So moved.
with the
Second,
existing
second.
conditions?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I just ask a procedural question. If they did want to come back in the future to revisit the hours,
Yeah,
my understanding is that that could be done by way of equivalent of a minor plan amendment without having to reopen a public.
So Hours of operation aren't typically minor, and given that, so Inspector or Commissioner Quinn would likely, if he has a question about it, he would reach out to any counselor. So there's no guarantee that that would be considered minor, especially all of the conversation that we've had. But it doesn't mean you lose any rights at all, counselor, you can still file. And if Commissioner Quinn deems it minor, it will come to the council floor and then we get to decide from there if it's minor.
Councilman Mercer Bruin, I think Clerk
sorry.
Higgins can clarify.
That is somewhat inaccurate. So
We've been operating that way for a while, so
If it's
please
not-
help us.
If it's not something, I get the term that the building commissioner can deem is minor, it's a different term, it's a different term.
Okay.
If he wants to file a minor, modification through the city council determines whether it's a minor modification. You have in the past approved, not all the time, I don't think, but you have in the past approved minor modifications for hours of operation.
Okay, that's what was throwing me off, is having Commissioner Quinn involved, so, okay.
I mean,
If it was a plan change, like they have those building envelopes, that's,
Square footage.
with that, he'd probably send it to,
So I hope I didn't confuse it
No,
too
no, you
much.
didn't.
Thank you
Look,
to
I-
Councilor Demers.
yeah, we understand that would be one of the reasons of the hours, we would need the council's approval, which is trying to avoid going through the whole rigmarole of a new, formal application, but, you know, we could come back, interested in that, which it sounds like we could. But I appreciate all of your time very much, so thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Good
Thank
luck.
you very
Please-
much.
Good luck. Let us
Please
know
pass
when
on to
you're
your
opening.
client, good luck.
All right, thank you. So I guess
Motion
I'll
to
be
adjourn.
back.
Motion, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Attorney Vaughn.
Attorney Vaughn, here's the,
It's back before the council next week, right? Is that right? No, he's coming back.
I'm sorry?
He's back to.
We adjourn?
That's up to you, Mark.
Nice.
you shared at 7:22 p.m.
Go, Big Daddy.
Following our meeting on public safety and license together, Councilor
I'm
Chairman would be on the
changing
committee,
things.
Councilor Viola, Councilor Demers, Councilor
Unless you want
Papalato, and Councilor Romano.
to.
Make a motion, we dispense with the reading of the previous meeting's minutes and approve.
All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. First matter on the agenda tonight is the Shamrock Running Club for a special event permit to allow for a road race at the American Legion and area streets.
Make a motion that the matter be sent out to pass.
second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Number 3 on the agenda, petition for the 2026 renewal of a first-class motor vehicle sales license by WMK LLC, doing business as Mobility Works, 299 F&H Washington Street. All the paperwork's in order. They're a national company making handicap accessible vans.
Make a motion that the first-class motor vehicle sales renewal is sent out at the pass.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Petitions for 2026 renewal of a second-class motor vehicle sales license by EMC Auto Brokers LLC, 7 Harrison Ave, Cambridge Road Auto Service Incorporated, DBA Woburn Plaza Shell, 293 Cambridge Road, and McSheffrey's SE LLC, doing business as McSheffrey's of the South End, 75 Main Street. All paperwork's in order.
Make a motion that the second-class motor vehicle license be sent out at the pass.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Number 5, petition for the renewal of a 2026 bowling alley license for Woburn Bowling Entertainment LLC, 32 Montville Ave, will remain in committee for incomplete paperwork.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
You're so expeditious, you know what?
Thanks, guys.